the function and the characteristics of the nervous system. They respond to external and internal stimuli. They also act accurately and fast acting. The nervous system transmits signals over long distance, for example, from your toe to your brain. If something happens to your toe, the neuron transmits the signal to your brain, as well as communicate with other cells over synapses. The synapses is a short distance that uses chemicals to communicate, as well as the responses are short-lived. The main cell, the cell that can transmit signal from one place to another, is the neuron. The neuron contains its body and one long axon. So going back, this is the cell body, contains the nucleus, and in the cell body we have the organelles: mitochondrion, endoplasmatic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes. Point out one of them are the Nissl bodies. They are nothing but endoplasmatic reticulum that produces the neurotransmitters for the neuron, but it will be later on. These short extensions are the dendrites, that they receive stimuli from the surroundings and integrate everything into the cell body. It has one long extension, it's called the axon, that is important for signal transmission, moving the signal away from the cell body, and starts to form at the axon hillock, the action potential, the signal transmission. The axon at the end starts to branch up and form axon terminals. The axon terminals end in synaptic terminals. The synaptic terminals will contain neurotransmitters, the chemicals that let cells communicate, the neuron and another cell communicate with each other. So the communication here is another cell, just only part of the cell. It's going to be the postsynaptic cell, that it can be a neuron, a muscle, or a gland. Synapsis is the close gap between the axon terminal and the next cell. I'm sorry I didn't point this out. And we have the presynaptic cell. The presynaptic cell is usually a neuron. It is a neuron. The structure to function, how it goes with the neuron, how its structure relates to its function. Many entry points we have through the dendrites, and one exit point through the axon. And the cell can transmit signals. This is really, really important. Not all of them can, but the neurons can. The neurons cannot function by themselves. They need supporting cells. The supporting cells are called the glial cells. They can nurture, feed the neurons, insulate the neurons, that will be in the second video, regulate what chemicals can go in and out into the brain, as well as clean up the central nervous system, as well as the peripheral too. Oh, the light is a little bit crazy. So information processing as a general with the nervous system. We have the sensory organ. Let's say we will pick the eye. The sensory organ contains sensors or receptors. They are special cells that they can pick up the signal. For example, for the eye, the rods and the cones in the retina pick up the photons, the light or the light and as well as the color, and they send message through sensory neurons. This will be the sensory input through the sensory neurons into the integration center. The integration center is dealing with the evaluation of the information, what to do, as well as figure out what the response will be. So this is usually a central nervous system that contains the brain and the spinal cord. Integration center, the messages can go through interneuron inside of the central nervous system. The output will be the motor output, some action because of the sensory input. The motor output is through motor so here you are, you saw something, so you are going to move, for example. The effector can be the muscle or a gland that will produce some hormones or some chemicals. The sensory input is in the peripheral nervous system, and the sensory it happens through the sensory neurons. They move the system, they move the receptor picked up stimuli from smell, touch, proprioceptors, as well as pressure receptors. They send these information through sensory neurons from the periphery to the central nervous system. The motor neurons are acting out emotion or the secretion from the gland, and from the central nervous system to peripheral.